All right, let's talk about a story that is going to completely change how you think about being rich. We're going to look at a blueprint for financial freedom that doesn't start with a big inheritance or a lottery win, but with a really simple and really powerful idea.
So let me ask you something. Just think about this for a second. Is it possible to be broke with 20 crores in your bank account? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But what if I told you the answer is absolutely 100% yes? And figuring out why? Well, that's the key to this whole thing. And that leads us right to the man who came up with this radical idea. Ramesh Kumar. He's the guy who said this, and you know what? He is the living proof. This is a guy who reached financial independence and quit the 9-to-5 grind at just 37 years old. And he didn't do it with 20 crores. He did it with a number that's probably going to surprise you. So the big question is, how on earth did he pull it off?
So let's dig in and look at how he built his foundation. You might think his story starts with some huge advantage, right? Well, it's the complete opposite. His journey kicks off with a challenge that I'm sure a lot of us can relate to: debt.
So picture this. He's in college, his father passes away, and boom, he's suddenly facing family loans. But check out his focus here. His first goal wasn't some dream of getting rich quick. It was just getting back to zero, to be completely, totally debt-free. And get this, in just 2.5 years, he did it. Wiped it all out. Every last loan. Only then, once the slate was clean, did he even let himself think about investing, one goal at a time. That discipline right there is the bedrock of this whole story. Okay, so debt is out of the picture. Now it was time to build. Let's take a look at the financial engine he fired up. A savings plan that was so aggressive, it completely changed the game for him.
And you know what? This is the part that is so relatable. You don't need a fortune to get started. His entire journey in the stock market kicked off with a simple SIP of just 5,000 rupees a month. That's it. A small, steady, totally manageable start.
But hold on. From that humble 5,000 rupees, he eventually ramped it up to, wait for it, 2.5 lakhs every single month. I mean, how do you even make a jump like that? Well, it wasn't just about making more money. It was because he had a crystal clear purpose for every single rupee he was saving. And this right here is the secret sauce. He wasn't just vaguely saving for the future. No way. He got super specific. He had a bucket for everything. A fund for emergencies, another for his kids' education and their marriage, one for retirement, one for replacing the car. He even had funds for his mother's care and for world travel. It's like he gave every rupee a name and a job. When you do that, it's so much easier to stay motivated, right?
So what did this whole portfolio actually look like? Well, it was a pretty smart mix. The biggest chunk, like 60 to 70%, was in equity, for that long-term growth. Then he had about 20-25% in debt for shorter-term goals, stuff he might need money for in a couple of years, and then a little bit sprinkled into things like gold, silver, and even private equity. It's a classic move, really, using different tools for different jobs.
Okay, so we've seen the how, the nuts and bolts of it. But honestly, the real magic here isn't hidden in some spreadsheet. It's all about the mindset. It's about throwing out the old definition of rich and creating a brand new one for yourself. Man, this quote really hits home, doesn't it? He basically figured out the biggest trap we all fall into. You know how it is. Your friend buys a new car, and suddenly you're scrolling through car websites. Your colleague gets a big promotion, and now you feel like you're falling behind. We let society and our friends just kick us around, constantly changing our goals based on what they're doing. And this next part just blows up the biggest lie in personal finance, the idea that a bigger salary automatically means more freedom. He uses this great analogy from a finance game. Think about it. You've got a doctor who makes a ton of money, but also spends a ton. For him to be free, he needs a massive 3 crores. Then you've got a janitor, low salary, but also super low expenses. He only needs 20 lakhs to be free. So, who's actually going to get to freedom faster? It's a total game changer, right? It proves it's not what you make, it's all about what you don't spend. But what was the real tipping point for him? It was this number. He read a statistic that said you spend 75% of all the time you will ever have with your kids before they even turn 12. Just let that sink in for a second. He said it absolutely terrified him, and he was right. You can always find ways to make more money, but you can never, ever get that time back.
So that realization completely changed how he looked at every single purchase. That flashy luxury car, it wasn't just 30 extra lakhs. No, it was one more year of his life he'd have to sell to a job, one more year away from his family. The moment you start pricing things in years of your life instead of rupees, everything changes. So, The big question is, how does he make it all work now that he's not getting a paycheck? Well, he lives by this really simple but brilliant formula that makes sure his money will last forever. It's called the 4% rule. The concept is actually pretty easy to grasp. Basically, you can pull out 4% of your total invested money every year to cover your living expenses. The theory is that your investments will, on average, grow by more than that 4%. So your nest egg not only stays intact, it actually keeps growing and beats inflation. It's like having a perpetual money machine, but for real.
So let's put some real numbers to this. When he decided to pull the plug on his job, he had a net worth of around 2 crores. Okay? So 4% of 2 crores is 8 lakhs. And that was enough for him and his family to live on for the year. See how that works? He didn't need some imaginary massive rich number. He just needed a specific amount to fund the specific life he actually wanted to live.
But, just achieving the goal, that's not the end of the story. Not even close. In fact, this is where things get really, really fascinating. What actually happens after you win the race? What's life like on the other side?
It turns out the biggest challenge wasn't the money at all. It was finding a purpose. I mean, think about it. Your entire life is structured around getting up, going to work, earning a living, and then one day that's just gone. He realized that without a why, freedom can feel kinda hollow. So the new mission wasn't about making money. It was about making meaning, finding an identity that wasn't just a job title.
So if you take away just one single thing from his whole journey, let it be this. Stop looking at what everyone else is doing. Just stop. The biggest financial mistakes we all make, that car we can't really afford, the house that's way too big, they almost never happen because we truly want them. They happen because we feel the pressure to keep up with everybody else.
And that leaves us with one final question. And this isn't for Boomish, it's for you, right now. Forget what your friends are buying, forget what society expects you to want. If you had to write them down, what are the 5 goals that are truly, genuinely important to you? Because figuring that out, well, that's the real first step to becoming free.